Welcome to the 89th episode of the Meeple Society, a podcast about board games hosted by two longtime role players turned avid board gamers. My name is Katie.
I'm Greg.
On this episode, we are going to ramble on about Meeple Live again, coming up in less than a week. Greg poses an impossible question, first to me, and then to you. We chat about some recently played games, and we wrap everything up by comparing two different ways to build a ship. But first, we're going to cruise through those newly announced Spiel de Jahres nominations.
Spiel de Jahres. It's not till, when is that? October? Yeah.
October.
So that they announced them.
I think they announced the winners, but God, October's actually not that far away.
No, it's not. But they do announce it before Spiel.
That's what I thought.
The con starts.
Okay.
But they got the Kinderspiel, the Kinderspiel, and the Spiel de Jahres.
Okay.
And I can't remember what the difference is. I think Spiel de Jahres is the game of the year. And then the Kinderspiel is the gamer's game of the year. And then the Kinderspiel is
the
children's game of the year. So
okay.
the Spiel de Jahres, the game of the year that they have nominated.
Okay, we've played two of these.
It is Bomb Busters, Flip 7, and Crackle Oracle.
That's how I would pronounce it, yes.
And the ones that were in the original nomination group was Agent Avenue, Castles Combo, Cities. We've played Cities.
We have played Cities.
Foxy, Perfect World, and Animals
Perfect
of Baker
Words.
Street. Did I say Perfect Worlds?
You said world, yes.
Okay, so, and Animals of Baker Street. Those didn't make it. So we got Bomb Busters, Flip 7, and Crackle Oracle. If you had to pick one, which one are you picking?
Flip 7.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Because we're going to come back when they announce these, and we're going to see how we did.
Yeah. Okay.
So remember it.
By far, Flip 7. Now, I have not played Crackle of Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, we have
just to
not.
Be fair, we have not played that one. I have played Bomb Busters, and yes, I think it was a very interesting game.
So moving on from the game of the year, basically, the Spiel de Jahres. So we have the Kinderspiel, which I believe is the gamer's game. And
that makes more sense looking at the games.
So we have Endeavor Deep Sea, game I want to play. We've played the original version of Endeavor and the second edition of. I want to say Rails and Sails. I said nope, that's not it.
It's
Endeavor. Yeah. Anyway,
oh my
it's the more updated version.
I can find out.
Then there is Far Away. We have played Far Away.
We have.
We need to play it again. So
Age of Sail. Endeavor Age of Sail. That's the one.
Anyway, Far Away is a game that I said last week, the last one, that I didn't really like.
You didn't.
And I need to play it again and
Correct.
figure out why didn't I like it.
Right.
Because everybody seems to love it, and it's been nominated.
Right.
And the last one is Loot. Loot is one that we thought about backing.
I almost backed. Man, I was right there on pulling that trigger, and I didn't.
Mm-hmm. So the other ones that was nominated but didn't make the final three was The Gang.
I've seen that in a lot of lists, but
yeah, that's the one that's kind of poker based.
Mm-hmm.
Then what? How do you pronounce that? Kauri. Kauri? Kauri? Anyway. Then you have...
Kauri is how I would pronounce it.
Then Medical Mysteries New York Emergency Room. I haven't even heard of that game.
I haven't either.
And then Zenith.
We have a game named Zenith in the other room.
Not that game.
No, I know. I'm wondering if it's a remake of it, though. But then again, Zenith seems like it would be a
Zenith or is it Xanthu?
No, it's Zenith.
Zenith?
Zenith.
Is it really? Okay.
Yes. It's an older game. I can find out when it came out, but yeah, looking at the cover of this
is not a re-implementation of it. It says
thing. Yeah,
players struggle to get control of the solar system.
Oh yeah, no, this is a abstract strategy game.
Mm-hmm.
We'll play it when we get to the Z's.
Yep. So if you had to pick one out of there, we've only played the one.
So
I can't, and I would not right now. I would not vote for Far Away.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I'm curious about Loot. Mm-hmm. The artwork has always caught my attention. I want to try it.
Yeah, I believe Loot is that the Miko art?
I'm not sure, but I just think it's cute. Endeavor Deep Sea. I enjoy Endeavor Age of Sail. So I've heard Deep Sea is better, so I'm curious about it. I would have a hard time picking from here because, like I said, we've only played the one.
So for the Kinderspiel, it is Cascadia Junior. Didn't even realize Cascadia had a junior edition.
I didn't either until I saw this earlier when you told me what we were doing.
Le Clan des Solaris.
Obviously, that is not. Oh, it's in German.
Yeah, and then Top die Tort.
Top du Tort. Yeah.
It looks like it's a cooking game. On the cover, there's a cake in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So I guess it's basically decorating your cake.
Maybe.
So the other games that was nominated was High-Low, Isle of La Vista, and Syllabus.
Okay. Not heard of any of them.
No, haven't heard of any of the kids' games there.
No.
So yeah, so we definitely said Flip 7 for Game of the Year.
Yep.
And I'm not sure about the other two.
Nope.
We've only played one game out of the other two nominations.
We'll have to get those other two in this week. Or not this week. No. This year sometime.
Yeah. So let us know what you think of those and who you think Game of the Year should be.
There you go. All right, moving on.
Question.
Oh, God. You're going first on this because I really don't know what you're looking for.
I'm kind of up in the air on this too, though. But differences, the question is difference between your favorite game and the games you love to play. So my favorite game of all time, of course, is Firefly, which is an open world kind of pick up and delivery game that's very thematic.
Yes.
And versus the games we love to play, I still like the kind of the pick up and delivery games, though. But it's kind of hard to think of what games that I love to play that it's not like my favorite game of all time.
You like heavy, crunchy games.
I do, but I also like
pick up and delivery, yes. But Firefly is one of the very few open world games. That is the biggest difference with that one over all of the games we typically play.
But it's one of the only. I think we have two open world games.
We have two open worlds.
Western Legends and Firefly.
Yes. And this is the only one that, well, like I said, we don't play Western Legends. It's coming up. It's coming.
Coming into W's.
Yep, it's coming. But that would be the biggest difference I see.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, you like the really heavy, crunchy, take up the whole darn table and the entire afternoon type of games.
I like those games where I have to do this certain thing in this area if I want to do this other thing in another area. Or I need to get these so I can trade them in to get that.
Yes.
Those are the games I really like.
I mean, honestly, you like the ones the longer the better type of games. So whereas...
It varies sometimes, though.
Okay.
Because sometimes I'd rather play a light game than a heavy, crunchy game.
Well, and I think we're all that way. Everybody would eventually... most people, even the ones who like the heavy, crunchy games, sometimes you're in the mood for just something light, i.e. Flip 7. You know?
Right, yeah. Because sometimes your brain just doesn't want to function.
It doesn't want to function that well. Flip 7's as far as I go.
The lighter the game, the better.
So, whereas my favorite game is Terraforming Mars. Now, we haven't gotten to play it recently, but it has held out maybe just from nostalgia. I don't know.
Possibly.
We play it. Hopefully, we'll play it by the end of the year when we get to the T's. I've been putting it off because of this alphabet challenge. So we'll get there. But here lately, and maybe it is because we've gotten so many big, heavy, crunchy games that, man, I'm really enjoying the lighter games a lot more lately.
Yeah.
I am enjoying the hour-long games.
Yeah, on game nights that we have, I'd rather play the lighter games because the more games you can get in, the better, I think.
The more productive you feel.
Yeah, but when you get into a big, heavy, crunchy game, it's like, where'd the night go?
You get one game, yeah.
Because like the one New Year's week, me, Ben, and Doug sat down and played Abomination, and it took almost 4 hours. It was 4 hours.
Yeah,
and it was like the new year came and went, and we were still playing Abomination. It was like, and by the time we got done, I think we got maybe 1, maybe 2 light games in after that. But that was
they left after that. It was 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, was it?
That was the end of the night. Yeah, it was 1 in the morning when you guys finished.
I thought I got another game in, though.
Maybe. I could go back in the book and look, but no. But no, I am finding now that if I am given a choice between a lighter game like River Valley Glassworks and playing a heavy game like I don't know, Galactic Cruise, I'm going to lean toward River Valley Glassworks. Just because it's lighter and it doesn't take as long to play. It doesn't take as long to learn and to understand. I can understand it in a gameplay and I'm done. And then I can just enjoy it from there and improve my strategy. Whereas Galactic Cruise, it's going to take 5 or 6 gameplays to really deeply understand it. I don't know. That's where I'm seeing my biggest difference.
So your favorite game's a big crunchy game,
yes,
Terraforming Mars, but you love playing the lighter games.
I really enjoy playing the lighter games. I think that's where I'm leaning toward the last couple years. So I will be curious once we get the next play of Terraforming Mars in, where that falls in my top 100 that year. You know what I mean? Is it going to drop a little? I don't think it'll drop far, but will it drop?
Yeah.
You know
well, I know Ravens of what
Ravenshire?
is it called? Ravenshire. Forges of Ravenshire. Shot right up to the top of your list. And I was really thinking, like, going, did that just unseat her Terraforming Mars?
I feel like if we had gotten more plays of it in,
it probably would have.
It might very well have. And had I gotten a play of Terraforming Mars in, it very well could have, yes. I kind of want to pull that out next weekend at Meeple Live, even if it's not on air.
What? Which one?
Forges of Ravenshire.
Oh, Forges of Ravenshire.
I wouldn't mind pulling Terraforming Mars out, too, but that's a 3-hour game,
yeah.
and I feel like I've got other commitments, so I'm not going to be able to get into a 3 or 4 hour game off camera. So, we shall see.
So let us know in the comments, what is your favorite game, and what is the games that you love to play? What's the difference?
And what is the difference of them? Yeah. Why is your favorite game still your favorite game?
But yet
if it's so different from the ones you really love to play. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So upcoming events, we have our Meeple Live. Meeple?
Yeah. What?
I always mispronounce it. Meeple Live coming up next week.
That's next week.
Yes.
By the time you're hearing this, if you listen to it the day it drops,
which will be, actually, we are moving that to a Wednesday instead of a Monday.
Segment. I see how I segued that for you.
Yes, there you go. So normally I drop this podcast on a Monday. I am actually moving it to a Wednesday because our weekends have just been getting really full, and I'm up to like midnight trying to get it to come out too.
And then sometimes doesn't come out right.
Like the last one.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of spots that I thought I cut and didn't cut.
Like you totally missed the entire end of the podcast in editing. You must have you fell asleep. I'll bet you that's what happened. No, I don't know.
So, yeah. If you listened to it when it first came out on the last one and you heard those, sorry. It is out again for just podcast only. But the new edited version is the one that came out on YouTube, and such the delay. Or what am I trying to say?
I have no idea.
Anyway, for the delay, I guess.
Yeah.
But
and I had it done fairly quickly for YouTube. And then I literally finished it Friday afternoon. I remember that. Finished it Friday. I thought, okay, as soon as Greg gets home, I'm going to have him show me how he exports just for sound. Because the way I do it, I have to have the video with it.
Right.
And then, of course, by the time you got home, I had already put it away. I was active on something else, and I completely forgot about it till I pulled up the editing program on, Tuesday?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, crud. I completely forgot about this. So I had you come in and show me real quick, and we had it up that night.
So in short,
sorry, guys.
Podcasts are coming out. The podcast will be released on Wednesdays instead of Mondays from here on out.
There you go.
Until you're told differently. Anyway, back to Meeple Live. Hey, I got it right.
There you go.
Meeple Live, like I said, it's coming out this week. If you're listening to it the day we dropped, it's like in 2 days. 2 days.
2 days.
Yep.
Yes, from recording, it is in a week.
Yes. But from the day this releases, it is in 2 days.
Yes.
So stay tuned. The link should be up on the YouTube then.
Yes.
So you
can
find where they're at. There'll be 3 links for the different hours. So click on it whatever time you're in.
Now, that being said, if in the notes of this podcast and in the notes of all of our recent videos is the recent link to go donate.
Okay,
if you want to donate prior to watching, or if you can't tune in this next weekend for this, or on I guess I should say this weekend, because by the time you're hearing this, it's this weekend.
Yes.
But in case you can't tune in for it and you want to donate anyway, please do. It all goes to a good cause. It's all for Children's Miracle Network. and Riley Children's Hospital, which is one of the top-notch children's hospitals in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
So,
if you're listening to it on YouTube for the first time, you can go back to our page and rewatch it if you wish. The links will still be live, as far as I know, at least for till the end of the year.
Yes, the links stay live till the end of the year, and then Extra Life makes you create a whole new link.
Yes,
which is weird, but okay.
Now I know you put the link on YouTube as the team page, so they can select between the three groups, the three host groups.
Make sure you scroll all the way to the bottom.
When I put it out,
click on Meeple Society.
Yeah, when I put it on the podcast, I go down and click on Meeple Society, and that is the link I put in.
I will change my link. I did not know. I don't know why I didn't think about that. I just posted the link that Justin sent us.
But you can go to the team page, and all three of the hosts are on there. You have us, the Meeple Society, you have Coopla Nerds, and you have Fantasy Now Plus.
Right.
Fantasy Now Plus, if you haven't looked them up, just ran a 24-hour fantasy football live stream, and they raised like $2,000.
Yeah.
So, and we're doing this little bragging rights thing for the year.
So far, we are losing horribly.
So whoever raised the most money gets the brag. It's like, hey, we're. I don't want to say
our fans are better than your fans.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say, and not be so mean. But anyway, so yeah, there are $2,000 ahead of us already before the whole thing starts. And these links are live, like I said, for another year.
Till the end of the year.
Till the end of the year.
Till December, yeah.
So next year, we might need to get that link up earlier and get it out and advertise it.
Absolutely.
So we can start raising money quicker.
Absolutely. Well,
and throughout the year, we may do some other like live plays that will have
and
that
that's
link
where I was
up.
just going to go to. We're seriously considering doing some live plays starting hopefully maybe next month or sometime this summer. And it'll be a once-a-month thing. It depends on when we can get my brother's schedule.
Yeah, because we're going to do a once-a-month thing for Hero Quest.
Yes.
And we never asked him yet, or did you ask him about, can he make his own quest so it's not spoilers?
I did not, but he's going to be here Sunday, so we can ask him.
But warning, we are going to be going back and forth during the show to the Hero Quest table, which is going to be running 24 hours and quest after quest after quest. So be aware when you go in there could be spoilers, because he's going to be running the adventures that come with the base game and the expansion. So.
Correct. Now, he's got this beautiful board I cannot wait to see set up. He 3D printed this board. I want to say he said it was 50% larger than the board that comes with the game.
Yeah, it looked a lot bigger.
It is, and I've seen some of the paint. Oh my gosh, it is gorgeous. Yeah. Now he still has a long way to go, so I'm hoping he can get it all done.
Yeah, he's kind of in step-up mode.
He is, and he's got mom is in town.
He's got,
and she's been
6 people painting now?
Something like that, because I think his wife's been helping out. My mom's been helping out this week while she's in town. And I think a couple of friends have been coming over to help in the evening. We have not been able to get over that. I don't think my eyesight could do it anyway, but I'm excited to see this all set up. I really am. So I'm looking forward to that. But regardless, Meeple Live starts Friday, June 6th
at 8 p.m.
We are going to go live at 8 p.m. I have no idea what's going to be on the table first. It's probably going to be some sort of party game that we can fit 6 people in, just to get as many people who are here in front of the camera.
Well, at least 5 of the 5 hosts.
Yeah, hopefully. But I know we're expecting a lot of people over the weekend. I don't know how many of them want to be on camera, but we're giving them options not to be if they just want to come and
play games on the other tables.
Play games on some of the other tables.
And we're hoping to be able to have a revolving camera.
We say that every year.
We're hoping to. It's just going to be technical because our producer can't be here for the middle chunk.
Yeah, the overnight hours.
So we'll see how easy it'll be to switch to remote.
Yes.
And we plan to go through and talk to other people that are out there that would like to be on camera. They don't mind to be on camera and ask them questions and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I think it'll be fun.
So we'll see.
So regardless, so start at 8 p.m. on Friday night, June 6th, Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
I guess I
should
should
put
say
that
that.
down. Yes,
Eastern Standard Time. And then we will run for a minimum of 24 hours. Usually it runs a little over that, but a minimum of 24 hours with a mixture of board games, video games, and running back and forth to the HeroQuest game.
So when you click on the link, just look at what time it is, figure out what Eastern Standard Time. I don't know. Does it change the time on YouTube, like if you're on the West Coast or if you're in Australia or Europe or?
I don't know.
Okay.
But Eastern Standard Time is the same time as New York. So if I know like on some calendars, it gives New York time. Mm-hmm. So we are on the same time zone as New York. So.
Okay. So yeah, so when you go to click on a link to watch, just kind of figure out which one is.
And
I think he puts part 1, part 2, part 3.
Does.
Maybe he does. So.
He does. By all means, if you have the capability of chatting where you're watching,
yes,
please chat with us.
We will have the chat windows open on the tables so we can respond to you.
Every room will have a chat open so they can talk when they're on camera. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. Let's talk about some games we played.
Okay. All right. So we've actually gotten a lot of games played recently. Spoilers, we were trying to get through a couple of the alphabet videos so we could clear the shelves and put things away before we start the 24 next week. So one of the games we got played, and we actually just picked this one up. Matter of fact, we just picked both of the ones I'm talking about up. But one of the games we got played is a small little tiny card game called Pixies. Now, you saw a friend of ours from the retreat talk about this, Michael McDade. And he and his wife loved this game. So what the heck? It was a cute little card game. We were looking for something we could play in the hotel, so we grabbed it. So the way this one plays, you have a deck of cards numbered 1 through 9. Depending on your player count, you take out so many cards. So you play a total of 3 rounds. At the start of each round, nobody has any cards in front of them. You just got a deck of cards in the middle of the table. The first player, whoever that is, pulls out cards equal to the number of players. There's a special variant for 2 players. You pull out 4 instead of 2. But normally you would pull out the cards equal to the number of players. Say we're playing a 3-player game. You have 3 cards out in front of you. The first player chooses one of them, the second player the next, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. There are a number of different things you're looking on these cards. You're looking at on these cards, I should say. That is, you're looking at the number because you're putting them into a 3x3, a 9-card grid in front of you into your tableau based on their number, 1 through 9. Kind of like a telephone keypad. In addition to that, you're looking at their color. They all have symbols on them that represent their color. So you're looking at that. You're looking at other scoring features on the cards. Some cards score based on other cards. Most of the cards just have either little X's on them, which are actually negative points, or little swirl designs, which are positive points. So you're looking for those scoring features, you're looking at their colors, and you're looking at their number. The first time you take any specific number, you lay it face up into your grid based on, like I said, the telephone keypad. The second time you take a number, and you want to have 2 of each number, you really do. The second time you take a number, you look at both of those cards and you decide at that point in time which one you're keeping. Whichever one you don't want, you flip upside down, you put the one you're keeping on top of it face up. That's the card that's going to score. But because you now have a second card underneath it, it's considered validated and it scores a point automatically just because it's been validated. Now, later down in the round, maybe you were forced to take another card of the same number. You can't use it because you've already validated, say, your 5. So you can't validate it again. You can't change out the card that's already there. It's been validated. So you can take that 5 that you were forced to take because you were the last player in turn that round, and you flip it over and you put it in any other open spot. You can't put it below the 2 you already have out because, that has to be a 2. But maybe you don't have a 1 out, so you can place it in the 1 spot. Now, later on in the round, if you do get a 1, you can place the 1 there. You don't get to pick which one you're going to keep because that spot has already been validated and readied for that 1. The first player to fill their grid, whether face up or face down, Doesn't matter. You get 9 cards in that grid, and all 9 slots are taken. That ends the round. Done. And then you score up based on the cards that are face up. So no, I was very shocked at how much thought I had to put into things.
Yes.
Into what card do I take? Which card do I keep?
Yes.
Which spot do I put that blank card in?
Mm-hmm. Or what card does your opponents need?
Yes.
Should I go ahead and take that, and would it make me validate one, which is fine? Do I really need it?
Yeah.
If I don't, then I can still take it from them, and then I can just validate it with a
validate
different card.
Something different and validate a different location.
So you're trying to figure out your points, the color situation, the what was it called? The spin wheels or whatever it was? The spirals.
Spirals, yes.
Spirals. What were you saying? You said spirals.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay, spirals.
Spirals. But it's all that, and then trying to keep the other players from getting what they need.
Some of those cards have like 6 spirals on them.
Yes. And it's like going, I don't need that card. I already have that card validated, but I'm going to take it anyway.
Because I don't want them to have 6 spirals.
Yes.
Or, look, that card, I really want that 6. It will validate my 6, but it has 6 X's on it. No, I'm going to leave that for my opponent.
Right? Yeah.
Know?
They don't have a 6 yet. Yeah. It is really a lot of fun. I kept seeing this, like I said, this on Michael McDade was posting about a lot that they played it, and I keep asking him how he liked it and everything. I was like, I'm just gonna have to pick it up. We seen this at the game store in Maryland when we were on a road trip last week, and I was like, first time I've seen it in a store, I'm picking it up. And I've heard a lot of good things.
It's such a cute little card game. Yeah, and we're going to a dinner party tomorrow night, and I'm really seriously thinking about taking it just as a light game. It plays 5 players. We could play it while April is still finishing up dinner, type of thing. So yeah, I may just stick this in my bag, and take it with us just in case. But yeah, it's a cute little game.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about a little bit older game. This one came out. When did this come out? 2018. So it's not real old, but it is older.
We never even talked about it. I told myself before we started, I'm going to give the specifics of every game.
Would you like to go back and give the specifics of your game?
I want to give the specifics. Yes, those of Pixies. Pixies came out in 2024. Plays 2 to 5 players in about 30 minutes, ages 8 and up. It was designed by Joannis Goopy. Goopy. Okay. Art by Sylvan Tribute.
That's the way I would have pronounced it.
The version, it was put out by Bombex. It was published by Bombex. The version we have was published by Pandasaurus Games, or brought here by Pandasaurus Games. Okay, I'm done. Now you can go on.
Okay, so the game I'm getting ready to talk about is from 2018. This is Shards of Infinity. It's a 2 to 4 player game, 30 minutes to play, 10 and up. It was put out by Gary Arendt and Justin Gary. Artist is Aaron Nakahara.
Sure.
And published by Stoneblade Entertainment and Ultra Pro. I think ours is both. So, anyway, this is a game. When I start to describe it, if you've played the other game, you will recognize it. This came out after the game that I'm talking about. But Shards of Infinity is a deck building game, just like your typical deck building game. You're going to start with a deck of common cards that everybody has, the same amount, same thing. You have cards you can use for money to buy other cards, and you have cards that's going to damage things. And then you start with 2 specialty cards that do different things compared to where you're at on your little sideboard. In the game, you are, like I said, you are building your deck, and there's 2 different strategies to this game, 2 different ways to win the game. You can win it by getting your mastery level, which are cards you play that you can go up on the mastery level by not playing it, correct? If you leave a point of that you can draft, you can use one to raise your mastery by 1
Once
each
per
round.
Turn, you can use 1 spending point to raise your mastery.
Yes. But you can raise your mastery to 30. Once you're at 30, you win the game no matter what, because at 30 makes you do unlimited amount of damage to everybody. Or you can take out your opponents, and it's basically playing it as a last man standing. when we played this, we played both rounds. Anyway, how you play it is, like I said, you are drafting cards or you're buying cards from the center row. You're putting them into your deck and you're continuing on. You're trying to raise up your mastery to do different things. So your specialty cards raise up depending on where your mastery level is at. You are playing all the cards in your deck. So you have cards that can buy cards. You have cards that's going to damage. And you're going to damage your partner or your opponent. But if this sounds kind of familiar, it is just like Ascension. But Ascension is monsters come out in the middle row where you draft cards at. And you fight those. You don't fight other players. This one, you're fighting other players because there's no monsters come out. That's kind of the way the game plays. And whoever reaches 30 first or is the last man standing is the winner of the game. This game, you went for...
I went for mastery because I couldn't get the
yes.
damage cards in my hand.
Yes.
So I went total mastery.
And I went damage because I was getting cards that did damage and also would heal me.
Yes.
But yeah, you were building that mastery level pretty quick.
I was up to over 20.
But I was hitting you constantly, and every time you would hit me, I would play my round. I would play cards that was going to heal me. This one had a expansion not too long ago after the game had been out for a while. Okay, but yes, that is Shards of Infinity. I like it. You're not too big on it.
I mean, it was fine. I just don't like the combat on it.
Right.
If I have my choice, I'm going to probably play Ascension because at least then I'm just combating the monsters in front of me, not my opponents.
Yep.
So, all right. Another one we got played this week that is an older one. Mine's actually older than yours was.
Yes.
Only we just bought this one. We did not have this one for 5 years. This is Mansions of Madness 2nd edition. Now, we had 1st edition when it first came out. We bought that right after we got in the hobby because it just looked cool. We did not understand what one versus many means. After years of role-playing, we should have understood what that meant. I don't think we even read the back of the box.
Yeah, I don't think we really
that.
knew how it actually played.
No. We played it once or twice. Back then, we didn't know any other gamers. It was just us. So one of us was the bad guys and one of us was the good guys. And that was that. So that one
we eventually
sat
sold
on our
it.
shelves for about 5 or 6 years and then finally got sold. Well, you found this one on Facebook Marketplace not too long ago for about half of its normal price. So we went ahead and picked it up because I've heard good things about how the app controls this one. Okay, so how this runs. This is a Cthulhu-based game. You are playing a series of investigators, depending on your number of player count. You're playing investigators that are, of course, looking into the paranormal. It gives you an actual storyline, and the basis of what you're actually investigating honestly means really nothing. In the beginning of the scenario that we at least played, I don't know how the other scenarios run. We've only gotten to play the one yet so far. When you walk into the game, when you first start the game up, it gives you the basis of what you're doing, and then it walks you into the foyer, and it tells you how to set up the room you just walked into. It tells you which doors are open, and it shows all this to you on the app. It'll tell you that there's a clue token in a specific location and what that clue represents. It is a pile of papers on the desk. Or, look, there's this chest over in the corner, and you put a clue token there. Maybe it might, I don't know. It tells you where there are things that can be used as barricades. So there's a heavy piece of furniture in the corner that can be used as a barricade later on if you need to. We never did do that. I wonder if it would have made a difference. I don't know. So after it sets up the room for you, it's now the investigator phase. Hopefully. Anyway, at least when you start the game it is. And you tell the app which direction you're going. So your characters are on the board. Everything is on the board. The tokens are on the board. The app just simply shows you where the tokens are. It doesn't keep track of where you are. I don't think it cares. It only keeps track of where the tokens are and which tokens you've interacted with. So you tell it, I'm going to go to this door. And you press on that button on the app. And the app will tell you, okay, set up this room. Here's how you set up this room. Here's what happens. It acts as the GM for you.
Yes.
Now, you still have to do all the setup, but it tells you what to do. It'll, again, tell you where there are various clues at. There are all sorts of things. It also tells you when monsters pop out. Oh, you see a dark, shadowy figure in the corner. It doesn't say prepare for battle, but you might as well. After both investigators have taken their turns, and you get 2 actions on your turn, then it starts the mythos phase.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll switch to the mythos phase, and it'll tell you what happens in the mythos phase. It could be a shadowy figure appears in the doorway behind you and then attacks you. It might tell you he moves toward the closest, he appears in the door in this room and moves toward the player with the least amount of mythos or the least amount of damage to him or something like that. But it could be something as simple as, hey, Betty just had a bad vision, and this is what happens. Make a roll against this particular stat.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be that simple. You can still, just like in most of the Arkham horror games we've ever played anyway, you can use clue tokens to re-roll. You have to beat it gives you a difficulty. You roll against that. That's the basis of the story. That's the basis of this game. I actually enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
So it allows you to play a cooperative game truly cooperatively.
Yes, it does. We had a little bit of problems at the very beginning, understanding a couple of things.
Yes.
And we had a hard time looking it up in the rule book.
And it was because we couldn't find stuff in the rule book. So while you were looking in the rule book, and usually our roles are totally reversed here because you're on BGG looking for stuff. And this time I got onto BGG and started looking for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I found it, there it was in the rule book. And oh, okay, I guess that does make sense. We just misinterpreted it.
Yeah, we were.
So once a few of those kind of things clicked and we understood what they meant by certain things in the rule book, everything flowed much smoother. So we bought this specifically for our cooperative Sundays with Doug and Sarah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to...
Because they like Betrayal House on the Hill.
They
so they
do.
kind of like
they
that
like
type
the
of game,
whole
so.
Cthulhu thing anyway. Yeah. And again, big role players. We've known them as role players for way too many years. A lot of years already. Wow, we're going on.
This game may be a rabbit hole. There are currently...
Have you been looking up expansions for this?
There is currently 10 expansions with 11th one coming out this year. I'm not sure if it's been released yet. Now, some of these expansions are from the app. They're adding it on the app, so you don't need any extra stuff for it.
Oh, that's nice at least.
But there are quite a few of them that are boxes. I'm seeing at least 6 boxes.
Well, and it's probably just new scenarios, I imagine.
Yes,
because the base game only comes with 4.
Yeah. There's 7 boxes.
Oh, boy.
The rest are
apps.
App-based. And the one coming out this year, if it's not already out, is an app-based one. So I don't know if you have to go in there and just...
You might have to purchase it
or what have you.
Well, remember
Probably
when we downloaded it, it said there were in-app purchases.
Yep. So you can download the apps.
You can purchase a new scenario that you don't actually need anything physical for. You just need the scenario base.
I don't like that one. The name of it is What Lies Within.
Okay, yeah, rabbit hole, here we come, I suspect. Yep. I don't know, we'll see. I'll be curious, before we buy anything else for it, I'll be curious to see what Doug and Sarah think. I don't like that face. What did you just see?
It's called Horrific Journeys.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to playing with Doug and Sarah when we get a chance. We have a couple other cooperatives we need to play with them first. Alphabet stuff, but... I'm looking forward to getting this one played.
Right. Okay, so I am going to talk about one that we just got played and one that we just picked up.
Yes.
And that is Fairy Ring. We played this first time with Bruce from BGI at one of our BGI events, though. But Fairy Wing is... Fairy Ring came out in 2024. It's 2 to 4 players, 40 minutes, ages 8 and up. It is designed by Lawrence Grenier and Fabian Tanguy.
I didn't do Mansions of Madness.
And the artist is Maud Chalmel and published by Repost Production. You're going to start with a mushroom in front of your board. You're going to take a mushroom out of that card and put it on your board, and you're going to hand the extra cards to the next player. And you're going to continue to do this throughout the game. There are 2 rounds, basically. You start with 7 cards. And once those cards are all gone, you count up points. And then you go to the second round. No, the first round is the initial card you get.
Yes.
Second round, you deal out that many cards again. You
New
do it
cards,
again,
yep.
and at the end of the game, you're going to count up all the points that you get. You are going to point yourself during the game, because as you go, you have a little fairy that is going to move. How you move is by the cards you put down has a number up in the corner of the card, and you move that many spaces around, not just on your area, but around everybody's area. So you could end up on somebody else's card. When you do end up on somebody else's card, they get the points from you landing on their card. Now, if you have mushrooms in your garden of the same type, you get to score that type of mushroom as well. So it's not always bad to land on somebody else's garden as long as you have that plant. There are cards, too, that come out that have a different amounts of numbers on it in the corner. So you can, like, it says 2, 3, or 4, so you could move 2, 3, or 4 spaces. But if it only has one number, you have to move that many spaces. There's a mushroom in here. I can't remember what it's called, though. But if you pass that mushroom, that player will get a point. Mm-hmm. But if you land on that mushroom, nobody gets a point. Not even if it's yours or another player's, they won't get points. It has to be passing that to get another point for it. But that's pretty much how this thing plays. There are goals in the game that score the most fairies on a card, or it's
the most fireflies on a card.
Most fireflies on a card. There are 3 goal cards that's laid out to be in the game, and you have little bitty flowers or little mushroom
markers,
flowers.
Yeah, little tokens.
Once you have finished that goal, you can put your marker on it, and you're going to score those points at the end of the game. As you get points, which is called mana points, I think is what it was called.
Yes.
Once you get 20 mana points, you have a little counter piece in front of you. Then you'll turn it up one more permanent point, and you turn those 20 in. You start again. And once you get 20 more, you turn it up again. And then the person with the most at the end of the game is the winner. It was a lot of fun.
It actually was, yeah.
And this, again, we got this on our last road trip.
Yes, there is a lot of strategy in this.
Mm-hmm. There is, as to what mushrooms you want out, because you want a wide array of mushrooms. So you kind of, when you land on other people's mushrooms, you'll have that type of mushroom in front of you. But there are mushrooms that...
You want it to be taller.
Yeah, because the taller it gets, the more points you get. Mm-hmm. And those are marked on the card. So if it's only 1, you get this many points. If it's 2, you're going to get this many points. Or if there's 3, you'll get that many points.
Well, even the ones that are just a set number of points, if you have 3 of them, you get all of them. Mm-hmm. You don't just get the 1. So, yeah, it's...
So it's kind of like...
choices.
What card do I take? This one will build that mushroom taller, but this is a mushroom I don't have out yet, and they have it. So
and everybody else does.
Right. So if I take this, they have that other mushroom I need to build taller, and that could give them more points when somebody lands on it. It's like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So, yeah, there is a lot of strategy in this game. The artwork is really cool.
It is.
I do like the artwork. Like very colorful. It has a lot of blue in it.
Yeah.
So, of course, the artwork's good. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but what do you think of this?
I love this one. I was very surprised, and I remembered it fondly after playing it back in November when we played it at the BGI event. But having played it a second time, now mind you, we only played it 2-player and not 4 this time. But it was still really good. Just trying to figure out which one do I take, and not only which one, but where do I place it? Because you can't break apart your garden. You have to place it on one end or the other. So it's like, do I put it on the beginning of my garden where everybody's passing over it? Or, it's I don't know. I thought it was very good. It's a light game. Mm-hmm. And like I said earlier, I'm tending to lean more toward those light, quick games, but still hold a lot of strategy, and this one fits that bill. Yep.
So that's Fairy Ring. Do you want to go back and say when your game came out?
Oh my gosh! I've already put it on. If you're watching this on YouTube, I will put it up. But very quickly, Mansions of Madness 2nd edition came out in 2016. Plays 1 to 5 players, anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, 14 and up. Designed by Nikki Valens. A lot of people involved in the art. Published by Fantasy Flight Games. All right. Our first look for this episode is actually going to be twofold. When we picked up Shipwrights of the North Sea Redux or redo. We never did figure out exactly how that's supposed to be pronounced.
Nope.
I don't know. But anyway, you get the idea. We said we were going to try to go back to do a comparison once we got to the S's and got both Shipwrights played. Well, guess what, guys? Guess what we did this week? So we are going to talk about them both. We've played Shipwrights of the North Sea before, but we had not played it since 2020. So it might as well have been a first look because it's been a minute. So we're going to kind of go through them both and then compare them. All right, so Shipwrights of the North Sea was published in 2014, plays 2 to 5 players in roughly 60 minutes, ages 10 and up, designed by Shem Phillips, and art by...
That is actually the full name of the Miko, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is it?
Yes. Yes, that is the Miko.
Okay. So... Mahajlo?
Yeah. I
if you're watching on YouTube by now, I've put it on.
That's the reason why he's called the Miko.
Yeah, I can see that. Anyway, published by Garfield Games. Okay, so all right. So with this one, everybody has a very small player board. The basic idea is you are wanting to build out 4 ships before your opponent. The first player to build 4 ships triggers the end of the game, and then you count points. So this is a drafting game. You start out the game. You start out each hand with 6 cards. You are picking 1 card out of the 6 and sending them on. Kind of like Seven Wonders style, only you're not playing out as soon as you take them like you do in Seven Wonders. This is more like It's a Wonderful World style, where you are gathering all the cards, and then once you have all 6 of your drafted cards, now you're deciding what you're doing with them. You could, well, ships and craftsmen can be laid out on your board for free. They just get put out on your board because ships you have to build, craftsmen you will use to help build those ships, potentially. Buildings have to get built. If you don't have the gold to build it, well, then you're just discarding the card because you can't build it. There are villagers that will sometimes give you resources. Sometimes they will give you that gold you need in order to build the buildings. Some of the villagers will attack some of your opponents and take their gold instead so that you get it. So the villagers do all sorts of things. Some are good for you. Some are, well, they're all good for you. Some of them are bad for other people. Some of them are just indifferent and they're just good for you. Okay, am I forgetting any of the cards? I think those are the only 4 types of cards in this one. No, there's equipment cards. There are equipment cards that you can build as well. And those basically give you discounts toward, like I had the forge or something like that.
You had, yeah.
I got a discount on iron.
You had the forge, I had the wagon.
Yes. So there are those out there too that you can only have one. I can see why, because they're pretty powerful. They give you a discount of one of those types of resources toward building your ships. Now, the ships cost they were a decent amount of stuff. Sometimes they were 3 and 4 pieces of iron and 2 and 3 pieces of wood and bunches of stuff to get them built. You do have workers that you have to use in order to go to the market. There are various things that the workers can do, but it is not technically a worker placement, but you do have workers that you can use to do various things. The biggest thing for the workers is to refresh the market or to go to the market. Those were the 2 biggies. The market, this was the one thing I did find interesting about this one, is the way they dealt with the market. The market itself is literally the back of the deck of the cards. The back of the deck is every card is just a little different. It all has the same layout. It has all 3 market pieces laid out and how many of each are available in the market for the cost of 2 workers and 2 gold. You pay 2 gold, you get a sheep. Or you pay 2 gold and you get 3 wood. Or you pay 2 gold and you get 2 iron. And then once you do the next draft, the next market may say, well, now there's only 1 iron available, or there's 3 sheep available, or there's only 2 wood available. So it all depends on what that next card is as to what the market looks like. I found that very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was the whole game. Really, yeah. I don't think I missed anything.
Yeah, I think the tools, they weren't really as balanced. Because I'm looking at the smelting furnace, the one that you had.
Yeah.
you didn't have to pay iron when
one
constructing
iron.
a ship. It says pay no iron when constructing
That's
a
not
ship.
the one I had. I only got a discount of iron.
You had the smelting furnace, right?
I had. Well, if
It's
I
the
had,
only two that they're showing me right now. So.
I could have sworn I had one that just gave
And then
me
my
one
tool,
discount.
my trade cart that I had, the trade cart that I had is place one of each good on the cart. And then when I bought one of those types of resources, I could take that resource off the cart and put it in my mill. I didn't have actual access to it until I bought that type of resource. Yours is, like I said.
I just got a discount.
Yeah, you didn't
Which
have
was
to pay
nice.
iron.
Well, like I said, there must have been multiple tools because mine only gave me a discount of one.
I will keep searching, but that's the only two that they're showing me.
Because, yeah, that's interesting. Because if that's the case, then I gypped myself.
You gypped yourself out.
Because I was only given a discount.
Oh, nope, there's two more there. There is the bow saw and the spindle
And the bow saw pays no oak.
Yeah, you pay no oak.
Oh, maybe I did
pay no
gyp
wool for the
myself.
spindle wool.
There's the trade cart. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah,
I still haven't found it, but
yeah, the smelting furnace is pay no iron when constructing a ship.
I mean, maybe
the
I
bow
did
saw,
do it right. I just don't remember.
Yeah, the bow saw is pay no oak when constructing a ship, and the spindle wool is pay no wool when constructing a ship. And then I had the trade cart.
Interesting. Well, I don't remember if I made it harder on myself or not, but I could have sworn I was still getting iron.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Anyhow. So that is Shipwrights of the North Sea, the original. Shipwrights of the North Sea Redux came out in 2024, so just last year. Plays 1 to 5 players, 60 to 80 minutes, ages 13 and up. So those stats are a little bit different, a little bit longer, a little bit higher age range. Again, designed by Shem Phillips, art by D'Amico, published by Garfield Games. So all of that's the same. All right, so with this one, again, the goal is to build ships. However, there is no set limit of the number of ships. This now is set by the number of rounds. You play 5 rounds in the game. So 5 rounds in the game, you're still doing the draft where you are drafting out 6 cards. You start off with 7. I think you throw the last one away if I remember correctly. I could be wrong.
I think so.
But you start off with a certain number. You're drafting out a total of 6 cards. Again, once you have all 6 in your hand, now you decide what you're doing with them. Again, you have ships you can lay out on your board. And I did not say that in the original Shipwrights, your board only held 2 ships and 4 craftsmen maximum. Now, the new board has 5 slots that you share between ships and non-hired craftsmen. But you only have 5 slots. So you could do 4 ships and 1 craftsman or 4 craftsmen and only 1. That's up to you. You have 5 slots. You also have buildings that go down beneath your board. That builds out your village. Underneath each of your buildings, you now have the ability of tucking cards. You can tuck craftsmen you're actually going to hire. They cost you a gold. You can tuck villagers under your board, and they improve some worker action spots. I'll come back to that. And then you can also tuck Jarls, and Jarls allow you to go up on some tracks and give you victory points at the end of the game. I'll come back to that too. Hopefully, I will remember to do so. So you have your buildings, you have your ships and your craftsmen, you have your villagers, and then you have... No, this one didn't have equipment.
No, you had a starting ship, a starting villager, and a starting builder that you could upgrade.
That's right. You had 3 cards lined up next to your board, all 3 of which you can upgrade based on one of those tracks you're going up. So this one actually had a full-on board.
Mm-hmm.
The board held a number of different cards, mostly just various decks of cards that you would pull in certain circumstances.
Yes.
And then it held the main deck that you're pulling from the whole game. It also had 3 tracks that you go up. And I don't remember what all they were. 3 different colors, essentially. I don't think they had any real meaning.
Right.
But each one, when you passed certain points, or if you were furthest ahead on the track, gave you certain benefits at the end of every round. On any one of these tracks, when you got to the 4 space, the 8, 12, and then in the end of the track, I believe it was, you got to pull a card out of a deck. And that card would give you certain benefits. Now, I'll be honest, neither of us ever got there on the right track.
No, we didn't get,
So we never got the battle cards at all. So I couldn't even tell you what they do because that's one area of the game we did not get to explore.
Well, in a 2-player game, you put out a dummy player.
Yes, and
And
he
they
was
move
constantly
up
ahead of us.
I can't remember exactly what they moved, how they moved up, but they were always in the lead on that track, so we never got to get a battle card.
There are round cards that sit up in the corner.
Yes.
Up in the corner of the board.
Oh, that's right.
And each round you're flipping those over.
That's correct.
The back side of the card shows you the market.
The conversion, yeah.
The conversion market, which is the same the whole game. It doesn't change.
Mm-hmm.
The front side of the card had a number of different things on it, one of which was, and I kind of found this interesting, one of which was the dummy players action up in the top corner for a 2-player game. And then it did some other stuff for other player counts. But for the 2-player game, the only thing you were concerned about was that dummy player.
Mm-hmm.
I found that kind of interesting. So throughout the game, you are trying to gain the resources and the people you need in order to build your ships. Now the ships require 1 to 2 craftsmen, which is what they required in the original game.
Mm-hmm.
They do require a couple craftsmen, but the resources they require now are only 1 sheep, 1 piece of wood, a couple of workers. It wasn't 8 different things.
Yeah, they needed the craftsman symbol.
Yeah, they needed the craftsman symbol, which essentially was the craftsman.
Which
there was
could
a
be
couple
multiple
ways
symbols,
to get
yeah.
it.
Yes.
Now, you had 2 ways of getting your craftsmen. You had the guys that were just passing through that you actually put onto your board and took up one of those 5 spots. If you used one of them, then you just discarded them when you built your ship. Now, every craftsman had 2 symbols on them. One was their primary craft. You didn't have to pay for that. One was their secondary craft. You did have to pay a coin for that, or maybe it was vice versa. Either way, one of their crafts you didn't have to pay for, the other you did. And then you just discarded the card if they were up top. If you had lured them in and hired them in permanently and they are now a resident of your village, you just got their services. Yeah, you might still have to pay for one of the crafts if that's what the card says, but you don't discard them. You can use them over and over again. And I found that interesting. A little bit of engine building there. But each of your buildings, and I said I would come back to this, I remembered. Each of your buildings, as you place them down, are a worker placement spot. Workers are actually really plentiful in this one. I think at one point I must have had like 10 of them.
Yeah, I know. At one point you had a lot of them. I had very little of them.
So, and each of the buildings you put down are worker placement spots. Put a worker here, gain a wood. Put a worker here and turn 2 wood into a gold, whatever. So you could use your workers down here to gain the resources you needed to do the stuff you put on your board.
Yes.
It
would typically gain extra actions that you could do because the actions are all done
it was all
simultaneously.
Yes, and I loved that. Everything was simultaneous. So underneath each of the buildings, each building you were allowed to tuck one card under. It could be a villager. The villagers were the same brown backing. They basically enhanced the worker placement spot. So now, whenever I put a worker here, I can get a wood, but I can also turn in a card and get something else. Or I can turn in a card and get 3 more workers. I've enticed 3 more people to move to my village, essentially. You could put a craftsman under there, and now that craftsman is permanently moved to your village, and you can hire him at any time. Or you can put a jarl under there, and that jarl, one, gives you 2 to 3 emblems of the tracks that you can move up, plus it gives you victory points at the end of the game. You can discard any one of these 3, but just know that to put them there in the first place, it costs you a gold. They're not cheap, but they all have their benefits for sure. But you can discard them. If you want to do something else there and you want to give up what they're doing, you can discard them and pay the extra gold and put something else there. Additionally, as you built out your ships, they gave you benefits. Some of them were worker placement spots. Others were take 3 more workers and move them into your village.
On the ships?
On the ships.
I think ships were usually the income.
You're right. I'm sorry. Yes, ships were income or one-time good benefits, like 3 more.
Buildings for
Like I kept getting the
placements.
ones that were give me 3 more workers, but no income. As you moved up the tracks, now when you built your moving up the tracks was the jarls and
what moved them up?
What moved the tracks
Your
up was
ships
building
and
your
the
ships
jarls
and the
mostly,
jarls.
yeah.
I thought the buildings
think-
did too. No, I might be wrong.
Yeah, I think it was not the buildings. I'm looking down here to see. The buildings did not.
Did not. Okay. So it was just the ships and the Jahres that moved up those tracks. There might be, I swear there was one more item,
I take it
I
back.
don't remember.
There are some buildings that had it on there. Yes,
Okay.
actually they do.
Okay.
The buildings do have it on
So
there.
it is the three options.
The ships, Jahres, and the buildings, yes.
Okay. So as you're moving up those tracks, as I said, when you get to certain points, you get to draw a card from the deck. Now, one of those cards allowed you to tuck a card underneath one of your ships, and it just added to your income.
Mm-hmm.
One of those was the battle cards. And the third one was the yellow one. And I don't remember what the yellow one did now.
Of the tracks?
Of the tracks.
The tracks was, okay, the red one was raid.
Was the raid, right. That was the battle cards.
The blue one was trade. And then the orange one is upgrades. It allowed you, when you crushed it, allowed you to upgrade
flip your
one of those
cards
three
over
that you
and
had on
upgrade
the
them.
end of your
That's
board.
right.
Yes.
Which again, as soon as you did, gave you better benefits.
Yes. And points.
And points. And yeah, okay. All in all, that's about it. At the end of 5 rounds, game is over. You count up your points and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
That's both games in a nutshell. A very broad nutshell, but a nutshell.
Some of the difference in the game, the original one versus the new one. The original one had a ton of take that.
It did.
All your villagers, the majority of your villagers
I
were
would say
take
easily
that.
half of the villagers were take that.
Yeah. It's
The
like
other half were take a resource.
I am stealing this
Yes.
resource from you, or you
I'm
are
stealing
removing
one of your craftsmen.
You're removing one of your ships from your
Yes.
boatyard.
I mean, it was
Yeah.
crazy. So yes, that was the biggest difference.
Redux didn't have an ounce of
Nope.
take that. The only thing I
Redux
could see
did
is
not.
take that is during the draft. You're like, I know they're going to need this card, so I'm going to take that card.
But
that was
that's
the
not-
only take that I could see. It
That
was like
is
hate drafting.
Hate drafting. That is not built into the game.
No.
Whereas these others are built into the game, and there's
Yes.
nothing you can do about
Mhm.
it. I did like 2 shipwrights. You had the ability to sell your cards. You could trade your cards in, or shipwrights. They're both shipwrights.
The first one?
The first one, it was an expansion where you could trade. You could discard your cards for cash if you were the first person to go there. Only one person per round could do it.
Oh,
though.
because it had that little
It
sideboard.
had that sideboard
Yes.
that came as an expansion. If I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, in Redux, that was built into the game. You could, at any point, just discard your cards for benefit. That was the other thing.
Yes, because each card had resources
had
on it.
a resource on it. Yes.
Yes.
That was the other multi-use of each card.
Yes.
If you didn't want it for anything else, you could use it for the resource.
Mm-hmm.
And that reminded me of It's a Wonderful World
Mm-hmm.
in that aspect.
The tucking cards I see as the beginnings of Wayfarers.
Of some of all of the South
It's the
Tigris
beginning
ones.
thoughts of Wayfarers. And did Redux come out after
Yes.
South Tigris started?
Yes.
So that's probably where they integrated
That-
that into it.
Yeah.
Because in Wayfarers they do a lot. Well,
In
actually,
all of the
the
South Tigris, they
you
tuck.
tuck cards.
Yeah. They all have that aspect.
And none of
in
the
them.
North Seas had that, so it was something they came up with after
Yeah.
Tigris, and I like that. That makes that area even better because
Yes.
because like some of the buildings they could have the blue that went underneath it. That
Mm-hmm.
it was basically what was it? It was a it was something you got when you tucked the card. It was an instant when you
Mm-hmm.
tucked the card. But if it was brown, it's something you got extra when you went to do that action on that card.
Yes, it was part of the worker placement part.
So the blue was just you got it then. So that was the bad thing is though when you put a blue one down there, I needed all that stuff, so that's why I put it down there. But now you lost an area where you could put an extra thing when you go to visit.
Well, no, that's just it. You could pull them back out. You just lost
Right.
that gold that you. So it was possible.
Right.
To
Yeah,
pull
you
them back
lost
out.
the gold to do it.
Yeah.
But that was cool.
Oh wait a minute! I thought the blues went up under the ships.
Only if they did not. There were some blues that was just solid blue across the bottom, and then there was the blue with the little brown corner
stripe.
that
Okay.
meant it went under a building.
Okay.
But most of your blues that came out were
Related
extra
to the ship.
Yeah. That you put on the ship, and it was like most of them were more things you got on the
Additional income.
Income, yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I only got one, so I don't know.
But I did like that at the end of each round, you seen who was the farthest on each track,
Mm-hmm.
and you got a card from a pile
Yeah.
that represented that area.
Which I think I used once.
Right.
At the very last round.
Well, no, I think I had it the first round,
Yeah.
and then you had it after that.
Yes. And then there was always the one, and I do not remember what they called her, but there was 4 of them.
Yeah.
And whoever did not get any other card got that card. So you always had some extra ability. You weren't shut out completely.
Yeah. Because I can't remember what was on, well, we never seen it, what was on the card of the orange track. Because there was a card you got that gave you a power.
We were never ahead on that one. That was always the dummy player ahead.
Yeah, like, because I know the trade card, the one that I had, for 3 coins, I could get a gold.
Yes.
So that was an ongoing ability you could use multiple times.
Right.
It wasn't you had to send a worker there or you had to tap it or anything.
No, it was just an innate ability you had while you had the card.
But it looks like one of the I'm looking at a picture of the cards there, and the upgraded card looks like you get rid of a resource. Oh, you pay 1 less resource for a ship.
Oh, yeah,
is
okay.
what it looks like. It shows the resource sign with an X in it and then pointing at a ship. So I'm guessing it's 1 less resource to a ship.
Makes sense. Okay.
And then the one girl, I can't remember what she has.
I don't remember her name.
I don't remember her name, like you said. Is let's see if they have it up here. Randy.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that rings a bell.
2 coins get you another card.
Okay. Which I think I did do at the very end of the game at least once.
Yeah, I did like how you would get a card for that round. So basically an extra power for that round that you didn't get in the beginning ones. And more ways, I think, to get more cards.
Right.
I did like the track, although I lost on all the tracks. And that was the thing. I was like going, there are 18 spots on this track, on each track. And neither one of us, did either one of us get past 8 on any of the tracks?
No, I got past 4 on 2 of them, but I never got.
Yeah, I think I got past 4 on 2 of them. I never really went anywhere on the raid track.
Nope, I think we both got to like 3, and that was it.
Tells you how many ships we had out. I think I had 2.
Well, and it wasn't even the ships; it was just in general. Because, like I said, there were 3 different places that were giving you these symbols.
Well, I got 0 Jarls.
I just never had them.
I had
0
one.
I had 1 Jarl out
because I kept passing. It was like, "Ooh, I need this building. I want this building," or "Ooh, that ship's really cool," or "Oh, there's a worker there or a villager there that I could really use." And
all in all, I really liked this one.
Yes, I really liked the redo one.
Yes,
Redux.
The Redux. Yes. I very much enjoyed this one. And okay, so all right, so differences between the two and opinion wise. Well, we've already kind of talked about this. The one had a lot of take that, the other had none.
Yes.
At least not built into the game. I think the second one, the Redux, had a lot more strategy involved.
Yes, it
because
did.
you had more different types of cards.
Yeah.
1. But 2, you had those tracks you got benefits of if you would go up.
Yeah.
That was nice. Between the 2, I will play Redux every time. And we talked about this on on episode 83, which by the time this comes out, that will be out of Playing Through Our Collection. Shipwright, the original is going to leave the collection.
Yeah.
I just don't see any reason to hold on to it.
Yes, because I had a lot more.
Better.
I had a lot more fun playing Redux.
Oh gosh, yes, and we play them back to back.
Yeah, and even though we don't normally play, really take that type of thing, it would be like if we had the card, we normally throw it away. I did throw it at you a couple times, and you threw it back at me a couple times though. But I didn't really like playing like that.
No, I don't either. I don't.
So
feel
it's like
comfortable
I've got a
that
wasted card here that I can throw it away and get that. Okay. But I didn't have to worry about it in Redux. I really liked the way the game flowed.
It did. It went so fast. 5 rounds is incredibly fast.
Yes, it is.
But it's also one of those games where, as the rounds progress, you find you have more and more actions available to you. They last a little bit longer each time because you now have 4 buildings out you can do the actions of. You've built up a community of workers that can go out to the different buildings. It just,
because I had a building
really
that
love that.
I spend a worker to go to there, and I got 3 more workers.
Yes, yeah.
So it's
Once
a way
you got
to
that
build
out.
up a little bit of an engine to get you more stuff, to get more actions. The more actions each round you had, the better you're going to play and the better you could get ships out, even though I think I only got 2 ships out in the whole game.
I think I might have gotten 3 out, the last one in the very last round.
Yeah. And I'm still trying to figure out, how did I only get 2 ships out? Because I always had 3 or 4 ships on the board.
Yeah.
On my player board in front of me, and I'm like, because I always wanted to leave those last 2 spots on the player board, so it was another place I could go and put my workers to get gold or coins.
Yes, because those were more worker spots directly on the board.
Because you go to the one and it gives you 2 coins. You go to the other one, you spend 2 coins, you get a gold.
Exactly.
So it's like, I'm putting my workers there so I can get that gold.
Exactly, and then you use that gold to tuck a card for permanent abilities. Yeah, it was just great. Mm-hmm. I loved the comboing. And the engine building.
Yeah, Redux is more of an engine. More like an engine building game to get things done. Mm-hmm. The other one, I didn't like it the first time we played it.
Yeah, and then we played it on one of our challenges one year because we played it 5 times in 2020.
And it was like, oh god, that's enough of this. And this is, I think Journey played with us on one of the times we played it though, but
I can see why it sat on the shelf for 5 years untouched.
Like we said, it did not feel like a Shim Phillips game.
No.
Nothing even close, even of that series. It was completely different than anything in that series. Now, it still is completely different because the North Seas is the one, place a worker, take a worker, and do the powers. And this one, there is nothing of that. No. You can place a worker, but you're not taking a worker. But the good thing is you have areas that only you can go and do, and then you get them all back at the end of the round.
And I was just going to say that. Yeah. In the original, when you spent a worker, it was gone.
Yes.
You did not get it back. Yeah. You had to earn it back another way.
But it was all what you needed to build ships.
Yes. Well, it was what you needed to build ships, what you put on that expansion board.
Yes.
What you went to the market with.
Yes.
All of that. You never got them back.
Mm-hmm. There was no real true
Which didn't make
worker placement places.
Right.
You were spending the workers.
Correct. And on the ships, I get it. They went out to sea.
Yes.
I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, and still in Redux, when you do ships, it calls for workers.
It calls for workers,
and you lose those.
Yes, you do lose those, but that's the only ones you lose.
Yes.
In Redux, all of the worker spots in your village, well, they just come back home at night.
Yeah.
You get to keep all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that.
Yes.
So you can actually build yourself a little bitty engine.
Yeah, because in the original one, I barely would have any workers to do anything
I was lucky to have
with.
2 or 3 workers around, and that was only because in a 2-player game, you got 2 workers every round.
Mm-hmm. So final decision is that we are keeping Redux and the original one's going, and try it out if you haven't. Redux is a lot better, I think.
I agree. Redux is a much better game.
So this is going to do it for episode 89. If you like this episode or any of our content and haven't subscribed to the podcast, please do so by going to iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. And while you're there, give us a rating and comments. This is how others can find the show. But in the meantime, if you want to follow us on social media just to keep up with us and see what we're doing, just follow the links in the show notes. There you will find links to Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, Threads, Discord, Blue Sky, and our merch shop. Or you can contact us directly at meeplesociety@mail.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the next one.